and welcome to another morning and another writing vlog. We are working on Lost Kids again. Oh, I'm supposed to be working on another book. Okay, no, I don't know. We might have to do Into the Woods because that is the one I'm supposed to be working on. I just completely forgot about that. So no, we are working on Into the Woods, maybe The Lost Kids. I don't know. It just depends on which one I feel the next one will be next week. Cause yeah, I gotta get Into the Woods done soon, as in by January. The first draft is what the aim is. January at the latest. So yeah, we will figure out which one will be. You guys will already know. I don't know yet. If it is The Lost Kids, then I already have an idea of 4 chapters I'm wanting to work on, because it seems like 4 chapters is the usual goal, because that seems to be the usual target of what I've been hitting. So if it is, I'm aiming to work on Sierra's point of view, Luke's point of view, Michael's point of view, and another character who will be just first introduced in this part, which will be Kane's point of view. So we will see how we will get to it, but I'm excited. And if it is Into the Woods, it is going to be Violet's point of view. And I last time was like, you know what, I kind of think I want to do Violet's added point of view in this book. I think that will give it a little extra, and I think I'm going to make it multi-perspective, but having it mainly David's point of view still, like he is the main character of the series. So to be just like whoever is with him in the story, kid-wise. And yeah, I think that'd be fun. So we will see which one I am in the mood for when I get to it. So let's start the day, and until the next check-in, which will be right before I start writing. So good morning. Let's get it started. And it is start time. Coffee, check. Breakfast, check. About to get the playlist on. And yeah, I am just going to do The Lost Kids because that's what I'm in the mood for, and that'll make it a lot easier for next week to be able to get in the mindset properly for Into the Woods, because I like to have the brain already rotating on the story to be able to get into, because it makes it a lot easier to jump into. And since my brain's been hooked onto The Lost Kids, that'll be just an easier, and then we'll just swap it. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, and then that way I can start brewing this week what I want to start writing next Sunday. And you guys should be there with me anyway. It is December, and I'm trying to actually go ahead and build up a buffer since this is a new series. So I'm basically every Sunday I'm doing a recording of the writing sprints, and then starting next year I'm just going to do twice a month. And if I do extras, I'm not going to worry about doing those recordings because it'll make it easier on myself. But that way I have a couple months in advance. That way, if I fall behind for some odd reason, I can catch up quite easily. But yes, I'm hoping to get into Luke's. That is the one I'm starting to. And like I said, I already have planned for Luke, his mom, and Kane and Michael. That's what it is. So I'm excited. I'm getting back into the trials. So it'll be Luke's side of the trials and then Michael's side of therapy. And I already have the schedules out, so I will make it, or it'll make it a lot easier for me to look at those to know which kids are in what spaces. And basically, if a kid is not in a space, but they should be, probably just say, yeah, they probably needed some room time, which is not unlikely for these kids. There would be a lot of kids that would just want to chill out for the rooms at times, because yes, a lot of them are wallflowers by default. So a lot, like a wallflower, a lot of times they're either going to be observing or wanting to be alone or have that random urge to want to be a part of things, and they find it easier when it's a bunch of other wallflowers and a lot of kids who are relating in a smaller group of 10, now 11. That'll just make it easier. But yeah, I'm excited. So that is the aim, to get 4 chapters in, 14 pages again. We will see. But let's go ahead and start. Word count, playlist, and a bit of writing, and a little bit of a sneak peek before next check-in. And it is lunchtime. I am about to make it, so I figured I'd do a check-in before and right after the writing is done. I did get Luke and Sierra's chapters done. They worked well together since it was Sierra was with him, so it was more clean cut of Luke into Sierra's like time progression wise. But I got 5 pages done, 1,769 words. And I do plan to still do Michael's and Kane's point of views. I want to kind of do another one, so I don't know. It just depends on how quick I get them, because I don't have a lot in mind for Michael's. I have a bit of he's going to be in a therapy session, so a bit of what I know I want to do for him for that. And then I know where I want to aim for Kane's. And then both of those I feel like could be short. I'm not intending them to be, but I still have to get roughly about 10 pages. So if they're not short, that would be great. 5 pages each would be nice. But yes, if they are short, then I want to try to get in a 5th chapter. I don't know whose point of view. We will just, I guess, figure that out when it comes to it. Yeah, that is where I'm at now. And I gave you a little bit of a sneak peek of Sierra's chapter. There wasn't a whole lot to it. As I said, a lot of it was just more so, I guess, getting to the next kind of big major point, a little bit of a diving into the trials, but that in itself was kind of like a repeat chapter because Kirsten's dug more into actually what this trial set is, because each one, basically what we're doing right now is testing the kids to see what gifts they have, what gifts they don't. They have an understanding of some of the gifts, otherwise they wouldn't be in the program in the first place. They kind of see, if you have this, what else could you have? So they have basically a preset test for this section in the trials, because each trial is more so year-based. This is trial 1 with a whole bunch of different tests of basically the first part is getting to know the gifts, and then the second part's going to be diving more into practicing them, and then the third part's going to be what can we stretch you out to have, like seeing if they can make somebody, or I guess work with somebody to see if they can make them have a gift or not. It's a lot of experimental tests and trials. That's why it's more so not necessarily trial based as in a normal fantasy setting, just more so kind of a twist on the trial of it's kind of fantasy, but also medical trials type deal. Like as far as in, that's kind of the gist of the play on words, to where it's just more so kind of a dual meaning of kind of the fantasy trials, but also, like I said, kind of like medical trials, like a science experimental trials type deal. It's fun. Like I said, they are testing their powers and gifts and just trying to figure them out in this book, and going to try to push them more so. The other trials are more so getting more into the nit and gritty. This is just more so step 1 of the process, which will probably expand more later in the book. We're just trying to get into the what is this type deal. And they are going to start out easy before things happen, to say the least. But that's where I'm at. And let's take a little break before the next writing block. And it is the wrap up of the day. I am done. I did not get 14 pages done. I got 12 pages done, but hey, better than last time. I could have gone an extra couple of pages, but I really wasn't feeling it. I didn't know who I was going to be in the head of, and it was just going to be like pushing burnout if I did. It was already 5 o'clock, and so I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to call it quits for now. It's lovely enough as it is, and we will just strive to get more the rest of the week. But overall, we got, we got 3,838. So 3838 word count. And like I said, 12 pages, which brings me up to 168 pages out of the 250, which is my goal. A hard goal of 200, soft goal of 250, and the overall goal of 600 for the entire book. I don't know when the 600 is going to be done. Maybe by 2027. That is the goal. But definitely by the end of the year, 200 pages to 250 preferably, because I feel like that would get me a good head start for getting this book done. I am going to try to work on it this coming year as well, but it's just going to be one of 3 that I work on, or I guess one of 3 weekly. I'm going to be working on a 4th once a month along with that, but it's going to be mostly Distorted Reality book 3 and The Lost Kids being the main book, and then a 3rd book, if I'm able to get it in that week, will be What's Getting Done. But I'm excited. And then Kane, that was his introduction. That is all you guys get as far as in, that's all. That was the first introduction. Who only had like less than a page introduction, but I figured it suited well enough. You will, like, Kane will be in other things. So this is, I mean, all the kids are in other things, but as far as in, he definitely will appear, and he definitely will be an intriguing character, to say the least. But there is at least 2 stories that he will be in that I know of that he will tie into, definitely, besides The Lost Kids at least. Definitely other stories, so I don't want to spoil too much about the book or about Kane. Definitely intriguing character, like I said, to say the least. I will probably try to go through, this is a rough draft, writing sprint, so I got down the idea as much as I was able to, but I will probably try to simplify the language because he has a high IQ, but he is also still a kid, and so I'm trying to work with that, so making it not seem overly done and still getting the point across. And then kind of, there is a slight theme that I'm trying to go with it for a little bit. You can't really explain it a whole lot. It's just more so, I guess, will have to be picked up on, especially the more his character is dug out. But that is it. And that is it for today. And that is it for this writing blog. I bid you all adieu. Pray blessings upon you all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whenever it is for you. It is night for me. So good night to you. Goodbye.